Party's over, rest of the world. Party's over, globalists. Party's over, everybody but the United States of America. Donald Trump is back. He's home. And he's putting the world on notice. Everybody, it's time to clean house. And we're not just talking about Washington, D.C. We're not just talking about the swamp that is the D.C. area. We're not just talking about the government here in the United States. We're talking about the entire world. Donald Trump is, I don't know if he's still live. He may have wrapped up. But Donald Trump took to a Zoom call this morning. He took to a virtual event to basically just pimp slap the entire global community. The World Economic Forum, led by Klaus Schwab, who is a literal comic book villain come to life. There's a couple people in the world who are comic book villains come to life. One was Jack Smith. The other is Klaus Schwab. And Klaus Schwab was introducing Donald Trump to the World Economic Forum. And man, I got to tell you, these people are not at all happy that Donald Trump is back. They try to pretend like they are. They try to pretend like they're respectful. They're like, oh yeah, Donald Trump, yay, fantastic. But really, they are so upset. They're quaking in their boots. They know that their time is over. They know that Donald Trump is back and the United States of America is going to rule the world and be dominant in every facet of technology and economy and military. And if they didn't know that, it's okay because Donald Trump just told them right to their faces. Donald Trump just reminded them, hey guys, guess what? We're back. And all the shenanigans are going to end immediately. Not only that, but Donald Trump had a massively long, I guess it was an hour, but a massively long interview, in-depth interview, his first Oval Office interview with Sean Hannity from Fox News. And I read some of the comments. It's amazing. I always love watching these interviews and then going on to see what people think about it. And most of the comments were about Hannity and how much he talked. You know, when you're interviewing someone, you ask them a question, you let them talk, not Sean Hannity. Sean Hannity likes to talk as much as possible and then eventually roll around to getting Donald Trump to answer whatever question it is he's been asking for a very long time. And that's basically what happened. But Donald Trump dropped some bombs, man. Boom. I don't know if anyone saw them or heard them, but he dropped a couple bombs, a couple of them on Joe Biden himself. And something that I mentioned too the other day, and I'm glad to, it always makes me happy to know that Donald Trump and I are so in tune, that our brains work the exact same way. I think that bodes well for both of us. But Donald Trump said something about Joe Biden and the pardon situation that I said the very first day. And I'm glad to know that I'm not the only one that thinks that. We'll bring you all the clips from Donald Trump's interview, the ones that, not all of them, but the ones that I feel like you should know about. Plus, man, the border, there's troops at the border. There's ICE agents in Boston. There's Haitian immigrants and violent criminals getting deported left, right, and center. It is wild, man. It is harvest time for ICE, and these I hope they're getting ready. I hope El Salvador is ready. I hope Venezuela is ready. I hope all these other jurisdictions are ready to receive back the criminal element that they sent to us so haphazardly during the Joe Biden administration. They thought they were pulling the wool over. They thought they were getting a good away with it. They're like, oh, we'll just send all of our criminals to the United States of America, and Joe Biden will take them. And well, I mean, they weren't wrong. They weren't wrong. That's exactly what happened. But now we're sending them back because we're done with them. And we'll bring you some of that here in just a minute too. But first, let me just say it is so exciting to be back in the comforts of home, back at Mar-a-Lago, settled down into Kayetriot HQ, where after a long trip, a very exciting trip. Wasn't it? It was exciting. We did do a lot. There was a lot that we accomplished. While we did not get to see the inauguration live, we were there in spirit. And of course, the good news is the hundreds of thousands of people also didn't get to see it live. But we hung out with friends. We met a lot of people. We had a fantastic event. Our Kayetriot meetup, I have to tell you, probably one of the biggest and best Kayetriot meetups we've had. And we've now done, let's see, we did one in Wisconsin. We did one in Philadelphia. We did one, I want to say somewhere else. And then I guess we did the one in DC, but this one really took the cake. There were so many Kayetriots in town. We came out, we had some beers, had some food, signed some books, took a bunch of selfies. So much fun. And it was so great getting to know everybody. And as we travel, whenever there's another event, whenever we're in town somewhere, we will continue to get together so that you can meet me, I can meet you, you can meet each other. We can hand out stickers. We ran into some old Newsmax peeps, which was, kind of fun. That's what happens when, fun fact, the bar we were at was literally across the street from Newsmax. So it's not really It's not really that unheard of that you would run into Newsmax peeps at that particular bar, but it was a lot of fun. And I'm glad to be back, though, because, you know, broadcasting live is fun. The flight delays, the flight cancellations that's always something that happens. And, you know, I was talking to my wife because, well, that's what I do. I talk to my wife. But the last couple of times I've traveled, I've been caught up in these crazy things. The last time I traveled, I guess, was Wisconsin. And that was when, I don't know if you remember, but the entire Delta computer crashed. They got hacked and everybody was grounded for like days. And it took everybody days to get home. We all had to stay in Wisconsin like an extra night or two. When I was on the phone trying to transfer this flight and that flight, I finally got on a Southwest out of Atlanta and I was able to get home at like midnight. And then this time it happened again because of the snow here in Jacksonville, Florida, not even in DC. But in Jacksonville, Florida, a lot of the flights were stopped and grounded, and they weren't landing or taking off. And my flight got canceled. I didn't get in until midnight again last night. So it's really, I don't know if it's me, if it's my bad luck. I don't know if I should just start driving places. Who knows? But like I said, I'm back now for the long haul, and we're gonna get to it. All right, I want to kick things off. With this Klaus Schwab thing. If you don't know who Klaus Schwab is, he is the chief of the World Economic Forum. I'm not really sure what his background is before that. I think he may have been a businessman or just some kind of con artist. I don't really know. But he put together the World Economic Forum, and he basically said, I want to be a powerful figure in the global economy. So why don't I just create something, invite a bunch of rich, powerful people, all the world leaders together to Davos, Switzerland once a year, which, by the way, I read an article last time they got together in Davos for the World Economic Forum. I read an article about the prostitutes and how much money they make. I'm just saying. Apparently it's like Christmas for them whenever these people roll into some of them come, they bus them in from other jurisdictions too, because apparently there's not enough of them in Davos. They've got to go to other little Swiss towns, probably Austria, maybe even, gosh, who knows, maybe even Italy or Paris. But they bring them in from all over Europe for this particular occasion, because apparently that's part of it. You talk about world economics, you talk about dominating things, you talk about how you're going to change the global economy for your own particular benefit, and then, you know, prostitutes. That's kind of, anyway. So here's Klaus Schwab introducing Donald Trump, which, by the way, I'm 100% sure he hates to do. He loved Joe Biden because Joe Biden was a pushover. Joe Biden was in the club. Joe Biden was one of them. Joe Biden would let the World Economic Forum, would let other countries do whatever it is they wanted to do. Joe Biden's policies were great for the global economy and terrible for the American economy. And nobody wanted to see Donald Trump back. I mean, except for the 76 million Americans who voted for him. But Klaus Schwab, for 100% sure, did not want him back. And you can tell from this introduction that he gave just this morning.
As you might expect, Mr. President, you return to office and your forthcoming policies have been at the focus of our discussions this week. The discussions among 3,000 political and business leaders from over 130 countries who came together here in Davos. We look forward hearing first from you and then to the follow-up discussion with business leaders, moderated by my colleague Børge Brende. Ladies and gentlemen, the President of the United States, Donald J. Trump.
So this guy clearly is a Bond villain come to life. This guy is the epitome of he's like Dr. No or whatever. He's the guy, you could see him monologuing like they always talk about in The Incredibles. Like, so you see, Mr. President Trump, I have you right where I want you. And now I will destroy your entire blah. I mean, and he's in the caverns of Switzerland in Europe somewhere, like in some secret lair. It really is wild that these people exist. But art, definitely does imitate life. So then Donald Trump gets up there, and right out of the gate, Donald Trump comes out and basically just says, hey guys, what's up? There's a new sheriff in town, and everything that you guys loved, I've basically gotten done with. And he slammed Joe Biden and the rest of these World Economic Forum folks to their face. Literally, to set the scene, he's not in Switzerland, he's at the White House. It was just 3 days ago that he got inaugurated, and they set up a big podium for him. You can see, so you've got all the world economic leaders you've got them all sitting on the stage. You've got Klaus Schwab, and then you have Donald Trump just sitting above them. I mean, really in this large scale I think where did I see a picture? I saw a picture of it somewhere online. Somebody posted a photo of what it looks like. Oh, here it is. Brendan Dilley posted this. Let me just show you this real quick. So here it is, the annual meeting of the World Economic Forum in Davos, Switzerland, 2025. Here's Klaus Schwab on the left. Then you've got all these other leaders. And then above them, on a huge screen, like God Almighty looking down on his minions, on the people that he placed on the earth to do his bidding. You've got Donald Trump in front of the podium with the seal of the President of the United States. And then, of course, to his left, the eagle, the symbol, the seal of the United States, the eagle with the talons and the olive branches and the arrows and everything. And it is he's dominant. He's a dominant force in this particular instance, as he is really in all instances. Anywho, so Donald Trump's talking to all these people. He's like, hey, guys, guess what? Your days of taking advantage of the United States of America are over.
On day one, I signed an executive order directing every member of my cabinet to marshal all powers at their disposal to defeat inflation and reduce the cost of daily life. I imposed a federal hiring freeze, a federal regulation freeze, a foreign aid freeze, and I created the new Department of Government Efficiency. I terminated the ridiculous and incredibly wasteful Green New Deal. I call it the Green New Scam. Withdrew from the one-sided Paris Climate Accord and ended the insane and costly electric vehicle mandate. We're going to let people buy the car they want to buy. I declared a national energy emergency, and it's so important, national energy emergency to unlock the liquid gold under our feet and pave the way for rapid approvals of new energy infrastructure. The United States has the largest amount of oil and gas of any country on earth, and we're going to use it.
Okay, so Donald Trump saying, look, hey guys, listen, I don't know if you heard or not, but I'm back. And on day one, I did all of these things. And if you're not familiar with what I did, let me just itemize them for you. First thing I did was I cut off all foreign aid. Okay. Now he's talking to the countries that we were giving foreign aid to for so long. He's talking to the countries, many of whom who've been suckling at the teat of the United States Treasury for decades. He's talking to these people who have been taking advantage of our generosity / stupidity for a very long time. And he's saying, oh, I cut off foreign aid. Did you get the memo? Yeah, it's happening. No, you guys are on your own, and no more free handouts, no more allowance. Also, I canceled the Paris Climate Accord. I took us out of that one-sided deal. So guess what? But you're not going to have the United States bankrolling that venture anymore. You're not going to have the clout of the United States behind you when you try to cut carbon emissions in India and China, which, fun fact, they're not trying to do anyway. And then, of course, the electric vehicle mandate. We shut that down, too, because that was stupid. And we're going to start drilling. Drill, baby, drill, I call it. That's what we're going to start doing. The Green News scam is over. Drill, baby, drill is starting. Donald Trump saying we are the most... And he's right. He's not lying. Underneath, just slightly underneath the surface of the Earth's core, the crust, the United States of America, if you drill down, you will find more liquid gold, more oil, more natural resources, more dead dinosaur goop than any other place on Earth. In Alaska, in the Gulf, in various other parts of the country, California and Texas, and we have left it untouched. Why? Because of the environmentalists and the globalists and the Democrats. And a lot of what it is that, look, there's a lot of parts of this world, rather, that make a lot of money when the United States does not drill for oil. And one of them is the Middle East, Saudi Arabia. And in fact, Donald Trump mentioned that too. He goes, oh, by the way, I called my good buddy, the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia, and I let him have it too.
It's also reported today in the papers that Saudi Arabia will be investing at least $600 billion in America, but I'll be asking the Crown Prince, who's a fantastic guy, to round it out to around $1 trillion. I think they'll do that because we've been very good to them. And I'm also going to ask Saudi Arabia and OPEC to bring down the cost of oil. You got to bring it down, which, frankly, I'm surprised they didn't do before the election. That didn't show a lot of love by them not doing it. I was a little surprised by that. If the price came down, the Russia-Ukraine war would end immediately. Right now, the price is high enough that war will continue. You got to bring down the oil price. You got to end that war. They should have done it long ago. They're very responsible, actually, to a certain extent for what's taking place. Millions of lives are being lost. With oil prices going down, I'll demand that interest rates drop immediately, and likewise, they should be dropping all over the world. Interest rates should follow us all over. The progress that you're seeing is happening because of our historic victory in a recent presidential election, one that has become quite well known throughout the world. I think a lot of things are happening to a lot of countries. They say that there's light shining all over the world since the election, and even countries that we aren't particularly friendly with are happy because they understand what there is a future and how great the future will be. Under our leadership, America is back and open for business.
And we're getting back with our allies, the Saudi Arabians, and they're going to lower the cost of oil, and we're going to end the war, and all is going to be great for us and terrible for you guys. So you're going to have to find some new scam. And he's right about all of that stuff. The most interesting thing that Donald Trump said was that he was a little shocked that OPEC didn't lower the price of oil during the election. Think about that. And we talked about that. Joe Biden, the war in Ukraine, all of that, all the global competition for oil, all the price gouging by OPEC during the Biden years, they refused to lower the price of oil. And then the election rolled around, and Donald Trump, like a lot of us, thought, well, the price of oil is going to go down now. Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, whoever we were running against, they need to get elected. And what's one of the best ways to get elected? Lower the cost of gas. Why? Because one of the biggest issues was how expensive the cost of gas was, the inflation, the economy. How the prices of everything, because gas drives the price of everything. Fuel and energy drives the price of everything. Eggs are expensive not because chickens are more expensive, but they're more expensive because it costs more to get the eggs from the chickens to the stores. Why? Because gas is more expensive, and that truck now is paying more for fuel, and they're going to pass that cost on along to you. Chickens are also more expensive because of their feed and their care. And yes, there were some bird flu epidemics, and a bunch of chickens got wiped out. So there's a lot of various reasons why eggs are more expensive, but the high cost of fuel is one of them. And Donald Trump goes, it was really interesting because you would think that Joe Biden, if he were really buddy-buddy with OPEC, if he were really buddy-buddy with the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia, if he were really in it with these guys, he could call them up and say, hey, Kamala's got to win. We got to beat Trump, lower the price of oil. But they didn't do it. And Donald Trump goes, that's something I noticed, and that's something that's very interesting to me, and it should be very interesting to everyone else. They didn't want Joe Biden back. They didn't want Joe Biden. I mean, maybe they did. They didn't want Kamala. Who knows? But maybe they just thought they could take advantage of him. Maybe they thought, you know what, we're really enjoying all of this extra money we have. We're not going to lower the price of gas because we don't care about you. We'll just deal with Donald Trump. Well, now they're going to lower the price of fuel. And Donald Trump says you got to do it because you're responsible for the bloodshed in Ukraine. When Russia invaded Ukraine, I mean, a lot of it is about natural resources, but also it shifted the entire global economy. And Russia is also a huge oil and gas producing nation. And so when you look at everything that's been going on, the pipeline explosion, everything, it is all tied back to oil and gas and energy, like most things are. And so Donald Trump is sitting down with Saudi Arabia. He's going to make some plans. Also, a $600 billion investment. He says he's going to make it $1 trillion. Right now, it's $600 billion. So think about that. In this week alone, Donald Trump has secured $500 billion from Larry Ellison and Sam Altman and Masa Yasasomi for the endeavors into AI and technology and all that kind of stuff. And now he's getting $600 billion from the Saudis. That's $1.1 trillion in U.S. investment that he's been able to procure in just the first couple of days. I mean, that is something. Joe Biden didn't even lose us that much money as quickly. Joe Biden lost us trillions of dollars. Joe Biden jacked up the economy. Joe Biden made everything worse. We lost so much money under the Joe Biden administration, but it took him a lot longer. Donald Trump's already gotten 1.1 trillion back, and he did it in 2 days. He went on, that wasn't it. He went on to say, oh, by the way, I don't know if you also heard, but while I was destroying the Green New Deal, while I was shredding the EV mandate, while I was pulling us out of your stupid, one-sided, totally pointless Paris climate accords, I also did a bunch of other stuff you might want to know about.
In addition, I'm pleased to report that America is also a free nation once again. On day one, I signed an executive order to stop all government censorship. No longer will our government label the speech of our own citizens as misinformation or disinformation, which are the favorite words of censors and those who wish to stop the free exchange of ideas and, frankly, progress. We have saved free speech in America, and we've saved it strongly.
We've saved free speech in America. We've put the kibosh on misinformation and disinformation. We've gotten with our buddies in Silicon Valley, and we've told those tech tyrants, you can't be tyrannical anymore, or else we're going to shut you down. And now Americans are free to speak, well, freely, basically. And that's bad for the global community, too, because, oh, next time there's a virus that pops out of someplace, guess what? You'll be able to speak freely about it. And next time there's some, anti-government run medication that you can take to survive or to stymie or to quell the effects of whatever that next pandemic may be, you'll be able to talk about it freely. And if there's a war or if there's some global person that you disagree with, all the censorship, freedom of speech is the enemy of tyranny. Freedom of speech is the enemy of tyranny. And if you want people to be truly free, then you've just got to let them speak and not put any kind of contingencies on what they say, where they say it, or who they say it about. And Donald Trump's letting the world know we are not doing that any longer. I mean, look at what's going on in Great Britain. They're arresting people for social media posts, and they're putting them in jail longer than people who stab folks on the street. It's really wild. He talked about how he has big goals for the, oh, wait a minute, this was my favorite. This was my favorite because I imagine there were some people in the audience that were visibly upset by this one, but I didn't, all you see is Donald Trump. He talked about his executive order mandating that there's only two genders.
And I've made it official, an official policy of the United States, that there are only two genders, male and female. And we will have no men participating in women's sports, and transgender operations, which became the rage, will occur very rarely.
And that is a dig on the Olympics, on the Olympic Committee. You remember the whole thing with the boxers who were transgenders and they were beating up women and then they won gold medals. And Donald Trump was like, we're not in the United States of America. There's two genders. There's male and there's female. And the reason that's such a big deal is because what happens in the United States of America happens everywhere. If it happens, it starts here and then boom, it explodes everywhere. If you don't believe me, just look at American Idol, for example. American Idol started where? Here. And some people will be like, no, Mark, it's from the X Factor in Great Britain. Doesn't matter. American Idol in its truest form started here. And now you've got idols all over. You've got Canadian Idol. You've got Mexican Idol. You've got, Croatian Idol. There's idols all. Wheel of Fortune. I'll give you that. That's another one. If you've ever seen on the Wheel of Fortune, 50th anniversary special, they show you all the Wheels of Fortune from all over the country, from all over the world. And they're like, look, here we are in Bali. And they're spinning the wheels like, I'll take a good dubada. I don't know what the letters are. And I don't know what they speak. I don't know. What do they even speak in Bali? Bali? It's one of those. I think they're two different places. But you get my meaning. It starts in the United States of America and it goes global. And if Donald Trump says, oh, BT dubs, sorry, Keith, there's two genders, male and female, and we are competing in sports that are either male or female, and we're not just doing that here at home, but we're doing it on the global stage. So if you show up at the Olympic Games, and if you want the United States of America to show up at the Olympic Games, and we are usually the second or third largest by number of athletes, definitely the richest. If you want the United States competing in any more Olympic Games, which they will be doing here before too long, there's an Olympics next year, Donald Trump is going to make sure that there are two genders and that there are no other people, transgender, bigender, I identify as a man, but I look like a woman, or I identify as a woman, but I'm really a man and I can pummel you. None of that on the global stage. And he wanted to make that clear to the World Economic Forum. He's saying, here's what we're doing in the United States of America. You can get on board or you can get left behind. He talked about his bold prices, or his bold predictions, his bold goals for the United States being the AI and crypto capital of the world.
Make the United States a manufacturing superpower and the world capital of artificial intelligence and crypto.
And that's a crushing blow to the World Economic Forum because they didn't want the United States to get richer and more technologically advanced. They want China, India, Europe, all these other countries. They want to run crypto. They want to run AI. They want their scientists to have all of the newest, coolest gadgets and technology. They want to be able to run the most technologically advanced militaries and have global dominance. Not the United States of America, but it's too late. Donald Trump's back. And in the first week, he procured $500 billion. He's building these massive buildings. He's got AI on board. He's got crypto coming into play. He's got Elon in his back pocket and vice versa. And that is what's going to be happening. That's what's going to be going on moving forward. In the next 4 years, you're going to see the United States of America climb to the top of the world, plant a flag, and then just stand there and kick everybody off and watch them roll down the hill like Jack and Jill, busting their crowns on the way down and laughing hysterically. Which I'm all for. I'm all for. He also talked about taxes, which we should. This is not a little thing either. This is not a little thing because, you know, the real power in any global economy comes from the people. Really, the power in any economy, especially ours, comes from the people. If the people have money, then the economy is strong. If the people ain't got no money, the economy is weak, and that's when you are. That's when your guard's down. I mean, look at Joe Biden. When Joe Biden took office and inflation skyrocketed and prices skyrocketed and people were being laid off and people didn't have jobs and there was no money to spend and their taxes were through the roof and they couldn't afford anything. They couldn't afford, the Fed kept raising interest rates. You couldn't even afford to borrow money to buy a house. The American dream was bloodied and bruised and battered, not dead, but it was on life support. It was laying in a bed with tubes up its nose and one of those oxy, the pulse ox monitors and a little EKG that was going boop, 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 and it had a morphine drip. And every 30 minutes, a nurse would come in to take its vitals. That was the American dream. Now Donald Trump has the American dream awake, and they've taken it off of the. They took the tube out of its mouth, out of its nose. What do you call it? The thing. The thing. Yeah. And now it's literally getting the color back in its cheeks and it's sitting up and it's eating solid food again. The American dream is eating solid food, and pretty soon it's going to be up out of that hospital bed, and pretty soon it's going to be back where it needs to be, and that is on the street and in your home and in your office and in your business and wherever you want it to be. The American dream is not dead. Donald Trump is reviving it. And the reason that America survives or succeeds is when more people in the United States of America have more of their own money to spend, they spend it. And when more people spend more money, the economy explodes. That's why you have a good economy or a bad economy. That's why you have a strong economy or a weak economy. When you take the money away from the people, you choke off the lifeblood of your own economic salvation. So Donald Trump says, we are going to give the money back to the people so that they can spend it and make America rich again.
I have promised to eliminate 10 old regulations for every new regulation, which will soon put many thousands of dollars back in the pockets of American families. To further unleash our economy, our majorities in the House and Senate, which we also took along with the presidency, are going to pass the largest tax cut in American history, including massive tax cuts for workers and family, and big tax cuts for domestic producers and manufacturers. And we're working with the Democrats on getting an extension of the original Trump tax cuts, as you probably know, by just reading any paper. My message to every business in the world is very simple. Come make your product in America, and we will give you among the lowest taxes of any nation on earth. We're bringing them down very substantially, even from the original Trump tax cuts. But if you don't make your product in America, which is your prerogative, then very simply you will have to pay a tariff, differing amounts, but a tariff which will direct hundreds of billions of dollars and even trillions of dollars into our treasury to strengthen our economy and pay down debt. Under the Trump administration, there will be no better place on earth to create jobs, build factories, or grow a company than right here in the good old USA.
This is not a speech. Okay, this is not a speech to the World Economic Forum. This is not a keynote address to a bunch of global economic powerhouses. This is an ultimatum from the United States of America. This is a shakedown of the highest order. This is Donald Trump saying, turn on the camera. Thank you. I'd like you to know that I'm the president. Here's everything I did on day 1. Here's everything I did on day 2. And here's everything I'm going to do for the next 4 years. And now I'd like to point something out to you. You can come and work in the United States of America. You can invest in the United States of America. You can bring your manufacturing plants and your call centers and everything you need. If you have an asset that you need for your business or for your company or your country to produce wealth, we have it here in the United States of America, and we will provide it. And not only that, we will cut your taxes. We will cut your corporate income taxes. You'll be able to come here, produce more, make more, and save more money at the same time. That is what I promise you. However, if you decide not to come to the United States of America, if you decide not to invest in the United States of America, if you would prefer to keep your manufacturing jobs and your production jobs and your call center jobs and your tech jobs and your medical jobs and all your other jobs, if you want to keep them all over there, that's fine. But we are going to charge you out the wazoo to bring your goods and services and products and manufactured whatnots, your widgets and spidgets and whatever, across our borders. You can either come to the United States and invest and save a bundle, or stay home and spend more money than you've ever spent before just to stay in business with us. It's not a speech. It is a shakedown. And I love it. I love every minute of it. And really, the only reason it seems so harsh, the only reason it seems so divisive to a lot of people, or the only reason it seems so forceful, is because it's not what you're used to. I mean, you're used to being taken advantage of. Think about this. If you go to, and I'm not speaking, I may be speaking from my own experience. Let's say you go to school every day and you show up at school every day and you've got your lunch money. You know, you got a little $1 for lunch. Back when I was a kid, it was $1. I think now it's 10. But you got $1 for lunch, and you show up every day, and every day at school, the bully's there, and the bully grabs you and goes, give me your $1. And you go, but I got it. Like, give me the $1. And you're like, okay. And you give them the $1, and then they leave. Every day that happens, okay? Now, let's just say, one day you go to school, and the bully's not there anymore. And you're looking around, and you're like, this is so weird. And the bully, you're like, where's the bully? Who do I give my money to? And you've got $1. And then all of a sudden, some new kid in a suit with a red tie and weird hair comes up to you and goes, I'm going to give you another $1. And now, not only did you not get threatened and have to give up your money, but you've got twice as much money as you did before. You would be shocked. You would be totally stunned. That's exactly why this seems so different. That's why this seems so weird. Because we're not used to it. We're used to getting bullied. We're used to getting taken advantage of. We're used to people stealing from us. And now all of a sudden, nobody's stealing from us. People are protecting us. Now we have somebody who's saying, I'm going to keep people from bullying you. I'm going to keep people from stealing from you. And guess what? I'm going to go get their money. I'm going to bully them. And I'm going to bring that money back here and I'm going to give it to you. That's Donald Trump. And Donald Trump's standing. Other presidents wouldn't do this. They wouldn't. I want you to listen to this one more time. Here it is.
I have promised to. Then very simply, you will have,
here it is.
You probably know by just reading any paper, my message to every business in the world is very simple. Come make your product in America, and we will give you among the lowest taxes of any nation on earth. We're bringing them down very substantially, even from the original Trump tax cuts. But if you don't make your product in America, which is your prerogative, then very simply you will have to pay a tariff, differing amounts, but a tariff which will direct hundreds of billions of dollars and even trillions of dollars into our treasury to strengthen our economy and pay down debt. Under the Trump administration, there will be no better place on earth to create jobs, build factories, or grow a company than right here in the good old USA.
Yeah, other presidents wouldn't do this. Other presidents would go and say, well, it's nice to be here. Thank you so much. I look forward to working together with you. I think together we can come up with all these great ideas. And I look to work with you to cut down climate change because it's a global problem and we're going to invest all the. They would show up with bags of cash. That's what the United States did. That's what Joe Biden, that's what Barack Obama did. That's what, let's be honest, that's what Bush, that's what they all did. They would show up on the global stage. They'd be the toast of the town. They'd take photos. They'd leave a bunch of money behind and say, we're going to invest in all these initiatives. And guess what? And then they was expected. Now Donald Trump is, first of all, not only not showing up, he's coming in digitally and he's saying, I'm not giving you anything. In fact, I'm taking a lot away from you. And you're going to get whiplash at how quickly things are going to turn around and how great America is going to become and how quickly it's going to become that great. There's so much. We got to talk about the border security stuff too. We got to talk about border security. We've got to talk about Donald Trump. Oh, and this Joe Biden thing. What he said to Sean Hannity about Joe Biden and these pardons. I thought to myself, exactly. And was it a blanket threat? Was it? This is like threat day. Donald Trump's like, I'm going to threaten the global economy and all the world leaders. And also I'm going to threaten Joe Biden while I'm at it. But before we get to that, I did want to share with you one thing. Speaking of money, speaking of global economic dominance, speaking of your own financial future, you need to make your savings bulletproof. And the best way to do that is with a gold or a precious metals based IRA from my good friends at Colonial Metals Group. Paul Stone, who runs Colonial Metals Group. We're going to have him back on. This guy is amazing. He's introduced me to all kinds of different ways that I can protect my finances, my financial future. I'm an independent broadcaster now, so this becomes more important than ever. And he's put together this great free gold guide that you can just give your name and info and they'll send it to you. It talks about protecting and growing your retirement savings with a gold IRA. I've learned all about assets and savings and tax-free and penalty-free ways to invest in gold and silver and other precious metals. And get this, right now, this is cool. I forgot to mention this earlier. There is an option now where you can get up to $7,500 in free bonus silver sent to your home when you sign up today. So get that's $7,500 in free silver, which is basically free money. $7,500 in free bonus silver sent to your home or stored in a secured vault of your choosing. And all you have to do is claim your free gold guide right now. Go to freegoldguide.com/K. That's freegoldguide.com/KAYE. And when you go there, fill out the information. You can see, you'll know because it's me in my plaid shirt sitting there. You'll know you're at the right place. And claim your $7,500 in free silver. Claim your free gold guide. Learn all about it. Paul Stone's a great guy. That's why I not only love to promote his product as he invests in our program, but also I love to have him on the show. And we are going to have him on the show because I have a lot of questions, especially after what happened at the WEF with Donald Trump. So we're going to get him on before too long. Remember, it's freegoldguide.com/K. Go there today. All right, let's talk a little bit about, should we do the border stuff or should we do the Biden stuff? I don't know. There's so much good stuff. I guess let's go to Donald Trump and Joe Biden. So Donald Trump was on with Sean Hannity yesterday, his very first Oval Office interview. Sean Hannity, no surprise there. No shock that Sean would get the first interview. They've been buds forever. It's Fox News. It's prime time. Sean Hannity goes into the Oval Office. He pulls up his chair. Donald Trump pulls up his chair. They fire up the camera, and Sean Hannity talks for what seems like forever. And Donald Trump gets to put in a couple words in edgewise, which is always nice when you're interviewing somebody. But they talked about a lot of different stuff. They talked a lot about, for example, they always start with, hey, do you feel like you've been touched by God and that God is the reason you survived? And you mentioned at the inauguration that you were saved by God to make America great again. Is that something you still believe? And Donald Trump's like, heck yeah.
Yes, I think so. I don't think I've changed, but I think that has taken place, yeah. Because when you look at statistically, I should never be here.
I should never be here is what he said. When you look at it statistically, there's no way. I mean, it was a split second.
People that really know a lot about guns, and they said that particular gun, in that beautiful field, as I called it, in Pennsylvania, which it is, Butler, that gun's a very accurate gun, and that a bad shooter would hit the target 100% of the time.
You can't miss.
Okay, from that distance. Yeah, from that distance. I mean, to me, I don't know as much about it. They said it's like for a golfer sinking a 1-foot putt from that distance. And my son Don and my son, both of them, Eric, they're great shooters. Both of them are great shooters. And they said it's amazing. It's a miracle. I think it affected them because they can't believe that happened. I turned. If I didn't turn, when the turn was like split second, perfect timing. So something happened, and I don't think you can call it just luck. The chance was like 1/8 of a second we wouldn't be sitting here.
I don't think you can call it just luck. I don't think you can call it just luck. It's more than luck. It's more than luck. It's a divine intervention, because 1/8 of a second or 1/8 of an inch, we wouldn't be sitting here. You wouldn't be sitting here. And Donald Trump says, I definitely wouldn't be sitting here. By the way, as someone who's golfed, I can easily miss a 1-foot putt, but I know what he's trying to say. And then so that he said, look, yes, I know that there's a reason why I'm here. There's a higher calling. I was called here by some greater power to do what I'm doing, and I'm going to do it, dadgummit, and I'm not going to let anyone stop me. And then they talked about whether or not it was better this way, which is something we've discussed too, that it was, the 4 years of Joe Biden were a wake-up call. If Donald Trump had, okay, I don't want to say had one, because there's a good chance he did. If it had gone the other way and Donald Trump served back-to-back, let's just say, terms, it wouldn't have been the way it is now. And sometimes maybe that 4-year reprieve really showed people, hey, we've got some issues here. Donald Trump was a great president, but maybe people didn't realize it. Maybe people didn't respect it. With the 4-year hiatus, with the damage and the destruction and the deadly, immigration problems and the drugs and the violence in Ukraine and everything else, with all of that stuff going on, maybe it woke the world up, not just the country, but the entire world up to the fact that we need a change in leadership, and we need it quick. And that this guy who the Democrats attacked and who a lot of America chided and who, people cast aside, is the guy that God sent here to save us from ourselves and from the deadly forces of evil that are working against us every single day. And with that 4-year hiatus, now people realize Donald Trump's right. Donald Trump's the guy. And we know that inflation is bad because of Joe Biden, the border. We see the destruction that the Democrats had planned for this country. And juxtaposed to Donald Trump, it may have been better this way and given him more power. And that's something they discussed.
It's turning out to be bigger. And I think one thing is happening is people are learning that they can't govern and that their policies are terrible. I mean, they don't want to see a woman get pummeled by a man in a boxing ring. No. They don't want to see men in women's sports and otherwise. They don't want to see them, and they don't want to have transgender for everyone. They don't want a child leave home as a boy and come back 2 days later as a girl. A parent doesn't want to see that. And there are states where that can happen. Oh. They don't want to see taxes go through the roof. Like, this is the only group of people they want to raise your taxes. They say, we want to raise your taxes. If they don't work with us on the Trump tax cuts extending, that would mean it would go back to the taxes. We got the largest tax cut in history. That would mean the taxes would go up more than any tax hike in the history of our country. And normally you'd say, that's got to be the easiest negotiation in history, because if they did that, how could they ever win an election? But they'll fight us on that. They fight us on things. It's incredible.
Here, I ran into...
They don't use common sense.
They don't use common sense. They fight us on the dumbest things ever. They fight us on things... Even this Pete Hegseth nomination, which now there's reports that 3 Republicans, you could probably guess who they are. You don't have to. Mitch McConnell, Susan Collins, and Lisa Murkowski. There's reports now that 3 Republicans are going to vote with the Democrats against the Pete Hegseth nomination for Secretary of Defense. Mitch McConnell, Lisa Murkowski, Susan Collins. And they're all basically the same people. Lisa Murkowski and Susan Collins are basically little mini female Mitch McConnells. He created them. He made them what they are. He gave them cash, and they just do whatever it is he tells them to. And in this instance, that's the word on the street that they may vote against him. It's fine, because J.D. Vance will roll in and cast a tie-breaking vote. But there's no way it should be that close, not with the majority that we have. There's no reason Pete Hegseth, what? Because he's big and bold and buff and speaks like a soldier and wants to turn the military into a fighting machine? That disqualifies him from being the Secretary of Defense? That's a weird way to think, but that's what he said. They don't use common sense. If you look at the job of Secretary of Defense, it's not a prestige position. You don't want the clean-cut person. You want the person who doesn't give a rat's you-know-what about what the rest of the world thinks and only wants to keep Americans safe at any cost. You want the rough and tumble person. At least I do. Democrats don't, because they're weird. But then they started talking about the pardons, and this is where it got really interesting. This is where Donald Trump dropped that thinly veiled, I don't know if it was a threat, thinly veiled attempt at, letting maybe a premonition as to what's going to come with the Joe Biden investigation. We heard yesterday, I played you the clip of Mike Johnson, who was asked about it, and he goes, yeah, these pardons, these blanket pardons of his entire family on the way out the door, that's questionable. That's something we probably do want to look into. And now Donald Trump is saying something similar.
I was given the option. They said, sir, would you like to pardon everybody, including yourself? I said, I'm not going to pardon anybody. We didn't do anything wrong. And we had people that suffered. They're incredible patriots. We had people that suffered. You had Bannon put in jail. You had Peter Navarro put in jail. You had people that suffered. And far worse than that, they've lost their fortunes. They've lost their nest egg, paying it to lawyers. And those people, and people said, and they wouldn't have even taken, most of those people, they wouldn't have even taken a pardon. This guy went around giving everybody pardons. And the funny thing, maybe the sad thing, is he didn't give himself a pardon. And if you look at it, it all had to do with him. I mean, the money went to him.
The funny thing, and then he stops. Maybe the sad thing. The funny thing is Joe Biden didn't even give him a pardon. That's one thing. The funny thing, no, you know what? The sad thing is that Joe Biden didn't even give himself a pardon. Why is that? Because he knew of everything. The money all went to Donald Trump. The money all went to him. He was in charge of it. That's like Al Capone not giving himself a pardon when he has the chance. It's like John Gotti saying, you know what? Let me pardon my family. Let me pardon everybody underneath me. I'll just take the heat. Joe Biden was the leader of the family. He is the patriarch. I mean, Joe Biden crime family. He's the top of the tree. There's nobody on the family tree left above Joe Biden. Everybody else is below him. And he didn't pardon himself. And Donald Trump on Sean Hannity on Fox News goes, that's funny. You know what? No, it's sad. Well, why would it be sad? Well, because now Joe Biden becomes the tragic figure that falls from grace and perhaps is brought to justice and could have stopped the whole thing if he just pardoned himself, because we know it all started with him. It all led to him. The money all went to him. And we know that because James Comer already did the investigation. The House of Representatives, they got it. We got the laptop. We know it's real. Matt Gaetz brought the whole hard drive and he goes, I'd like to put this into the record, the congressional record. And they're like, okay, what is it? Oh, it's Hunter Biden's laptop. It's the hard drive. Here it is. Here's all the emails. Here's all the bank records. Here's the canceled checks. Here's the wire transactions. Marjorie Taylor Greene had what? Over 200 red flag reports, or those flagged reports from the bank. Over 200 of them that are questionable bank transactions regarding various Biden clan members. I mean, come on. We know it all went to him. Why did he not pardon himself on the way out the door? Why didn't he? Why did he not pardon himself on the way out the door when he pardoned the rest of his family? Is he that egomaniacal? Does he think so much of himself that, oh, no one's ever going to come after me. I'm Joseph Robinette Biden Jr. I'm 82 years old. They're not going to touch me. So I asked that question earlier today on the 47 Daily podcast, and somebody brought up a great point. They said, you know what? It's already been told that he's not mentally stable enough to stand trial. That's why they didn't investigate him for the top secret documents. Remember, he's just an old, confused man who doesn't know what he's doing. So I guess they figure if Joe Biden were ever brought up on charges by the House of Representatives or by the FBI or by the DOJ, if Pam Bondi ever issued a warrant for the arrest of Joseph Robinette Biden Jr. in conjunction with treason, high treason and corruption, if she ever did that, they would just bring in the same lawyers and go, look at this guy. He was demented back when he was president. We already didn't charge him for the top secret documents he kept in his garage next to his Corvette because he was such an old fuddy-duddy. Now you're going to charge him with this? Come on. No judge is going to stand for that. Maybe that's what he's thinking. But it was very, very odd. One funny thing that Donald Trump mentioned was about Adam Schiff and how Adam Schiff begged for a pardon and didn't get one, which I thought was kind of funny.
He didn't give himself a pardon. And he didn't give some other people a pardon that needed it. And I heard Schiff went to him and just begged him for a pardon because Schiff is a crook. Yeah. Schiff is a crooked guy. He's a crooked politician. He made up the story about Russia. He totally made it up. He was a storyteller. And then after he made it up, they found out that there was a tape of the conversation made by, you know, I guess the State Department. I don't know. When you make calls, they make tapes sometimes, not all the time.
He was the one talking to the Russians.
So he, in the meantime, made up the conversation, totally made it up about quid pro quo. There was no quid pro quo, just there was a perfect call. Tim Scott was the first one to come. He read it. He said, "This is a perfect call. What are you doing? You're impeaching a man for a perfect call." It was Schiff, Hillary, the whole group. You know what? They should. Schiff is just a bad, sick guy. And he went to Biden and he demanded a pardon because he thought he did something. He knew he did something.
And he didn't get one. Adam Schiff's just a bad, sick. Oh, I wish he'd finish that sentence. I wish he'd throw a noun up there. A bad, sick what? What noun were you going to use? Were you going to say person or were you going to say something? He's just a bad, sick. And then he censored himself, which, you know, you're the president of the United States. You should probably do that every now and then. But that's it, man. It was a very interesting interview, to say the least. He talked about how he's going to go to North Carolina next week, and then he's going to go to California. He talked about FEMA and how irresponsible and disrespected they were to the people in North Carolina. He talked about how he's going to go to Nevada. He talked about all these other. He talked about the Kennedy files again. How he wanted to declassify all the Kennedy files, but Mike Pompeo told him not to. This is the same thing he told Tucker Carlson, or I'm sorry, this is the same thing that we heard RFK tell Tucker Carlson.
I did it with Kennedy to an extent, but I was asked by some of our government officials not to. And, you know, you have to respect them. I was actually asked by Mike Pompeo, as Secretary of State, not to. And I felt he knew something that maybe, you know, when he asks you not to, you sort of say, why? And he felt that it was just not a good time to release him. And you might ask him why. Maybe he'll deny that even. But he did. He asked me. And some others also, though. They didn't want the Kennedy.
They didn't want the Kennedy files out. They didn't want the Martin Luther King files out. Donald Trump, I believe, is going to start declassifying all of that stuff because he's going to get different advice from different people, like RFK, like Kash Patel, like Pam Bondi, like the rest of them. I want to get into immigration, by the way. What Donald Trump has done with immigration in the past couple of days is just glorious and exciting. And Caroline Leavitt, the new press secretary, she's got to be one of the, I know she's the youngest, I think, to ever hold the job, or one of the youngest to ever hold the job, but she's also got to be right out of the gate one of the best. And she was a spitfire on the campaign. She was amazing. She ran for Congress in New Hampshire, lost, which is a good thing because now we have her as the press secretary for the president of the United States. And she led into this whole thing with immigration. But I did want to mention a couple things. First of all, I noticed we got a super chat. We got a super chat from C.A. Smirk. Look at that, who says, "Preach it, Mark." C.A. Smirk, thank you so much for that super chat. We really do appreciate it. And at the end of the show today, I'm going to keep with my new tradition of answering questions and reading your comments via super chat or Rumble Rant. So if you're watching on either one of those platforms, by all means, please throw up a super chat, throw up a Rumble Rant. We'd love to know what's on your mind. And I will do a little impromptu Q&A and share those comments right before we wrap up. Oh, by the way, I'm totally getting off on different tangents here. By the way, that led me to something else, which was really interesting. I talked about it on TikTok today, which if you don't follow me on TikTok, you probably should. But there was a really interesting comment about the ratings. Hold on, I'm going to go to ratings for inauguration. The ratings for President Donald Trump's inauguration were down significantly over the last two inaugurations. And I want to share with you this article from the Daily Beast. Trump will be crushed by inauguration ratings plunge. Trump will be crushed by inauguration ratings plunge. That's the Daily Beast. Flop era is what they wrote there. Nielsen's ratings compared Trump's swearing in as the 47th president of the United States to former President Biden's inauguration. You know what they found? They found that Donald Trump's swearing in this past week had 26 million viewers. Joe Biden's swearing in 2020 had 39 million. So that's 13 million viewers. 13 million more viewers watched Joe Biden on TV, on mainstream TV, than they did Donald Trump. Before that, Donald Trump's first inauguration, 38 million. So still down about 13 or 14 million. And so the Daily Beast is like, oh, nobody cares about Donald Trump. Nobody wanted to watch Donald Trump get sworn in. Nobody's tuning into their television to watch Donald Trump. And they're right about that. Nobody is tuning in to their television to watch Donald Trump because nobody trusts television anymore. Nobody watches television. Nobody trusts television. No one's like, you know where I want to go to get accurate news? The television. Nobody's like, oh, Donald Trump's getting inaugurated. Let me go turn on my television set. Let me go make sure my television is working properly. They don't do that anymore. They go to their favorite digital platform. They go to YouTube. They go to TikTok. They go to X. They go to Rumble. In fact, Chris Pavlovsky, who is the CEO of Rumble, he tweeted out about this story. Look at what he wrote. He wrote, corporate media ratings for the inauguration of real Donald Trump were allegedly down more than 20%. Where did the viewers go? A video site called Rumble clocked more than 5.5 million views of inauguration coverage. All right, well, there you go. Of the 13 million viewers that Donald Trump lost to television ratings, he picked up 5.5 on Rumble because Rumble wasn't around when in 2020, and they definitely weren't live streaming inaugurations the way they were. YouTube. Do you know how many people were live streaming the inauguration on YouTube? I mean, I was for like 15 minutes before they took me down, but everyone else was. People are going on their phones. They're watching this on X. They're not watching it on TV. Mainstream media, and this is not an attack on Donald. This is the dumbest thing the Daily Beast has ever written. This is not an attack on Donald Trump's popularity. It's an attack on the mainstream media's popularity. Nobody watches TV. Nobody listens to the radio. Why? Because they're owned by corporate conglomerates who usually are liberal. They're allowing people like George Soros to come in and buy up all of their stuff. They're run by Hollywood elitists. They push a Joe Biden propaganda message. We all watch CNN and MSNBC crumble under their own one-sided socialist agenda. People are turning them off. They're going to Rumble. They're going to YouTube. Even Facebook. Even Facebook is probably a better place to watch than the TV news. They're getting insight. They're getting community. They're getting people like me offering real opinions and real truth and not one-sided skewered leftist BS. And the Daily Beast is like, oh, Trump's going to be crushed by the inauguration's ratings plunge. No. ABC, and they even say it right here. Why would Trump be crushed? Nielsen found that ratings across ABC, CBS, and NBC's coverage of Trump swearing in as 47th president on Monday hovered around 26 million viewers on average from 11:30 to 1. According to Nielsen's ratings, viewership for the two previous inaugurations, which includes Trump's first term, fared much better, about 32%. So this tells me that that ABC, CBS, NBC, and CNN, they're the ones that should be crushed by Donald Trump's inauguration ratings. Because I'm pretty sure everybody was watching on some screen or another. It may not be the screen that's sitting on your cabinet in your TV. It may be the one that you're holding in your hand. And odds are it's the one that you're holding in your hand. So really, and this is just more they're going to be pushing this propaganda throughout. They're going to keep telling you, oh, the TV ratings are down. It's Donald Trump's fault. The TV ratings are down and it's the TV's fault. Anyway, let's get back to Caroline Leavitt. So Caroline Leavitt wandered out yesterday into the frigidly cold temperatures in Washington, D.C., the sub-zero temperatures, to talk to the press for the very first time. And she did a whole cadre of interviews. She was on Fox News. She was on Newsmax. And she said something very interesting about Donald Trump and his immigration policy on Newsmax that I wanted to share with you.
And Trump took historic action on his first day in the Oval Office, signing 10 executive orders to secure our homeland, secure our southern border, and launch the largest mass deportation operation in American history. And in just 33 hours of his signing with his pen, the Customs and Border Patrol and ICE got immediately to work to deport violent, illegal criminals from our country. They have arrested nearly 500 of these individuals in the interior, and they will be sent home. And those flights are already underway this morning. So President Trump is delivering on his promise immediately to make America safe again. And he is empowering the brave men and women in uniform across our great country who are tasked with enforcing our nation's immigration laws. And they have a leader in the Oval Office who is going to support them in doing their jobs.
So there you go. Oh, now I wonder, hold on. What's going to happen if I I guess I'll just do that. Anyway, so there you go. So she's like, look, they've got a leader in the Oval Office who's going to go out there and he's going to help them and he's going to enforce the law and he's going to help them do their jobs. And you're not going to have to worry about anything anymore. You're not going to have to worry about immigration or these illegal immigrants who are walking around and they are rapists and criminals and drug addicts and murder. You don't have to worry about that anymore. There's going to be no more of that anywhere. And Donald Trump is going to make sure of that. And lo and behold, it's happening because we have evidence. We have all of these ICE agents who are running around and they are arresting these people. I mean, like you wouldn't believe. Look at this first of all, there's troops at the border. Okay. This was one of the very first things that Donald Trump said he was going to do. And he did it. He said, I'm going to put troops at the southern border. 1,500 of them are amassing now at the southern border. Why? Well, because when you're getting invaded, you call out the military. And yes, the Democrats are screaming and yelling, oh, he can't do that. He can't militarize our border. He can't use our military to defend our borders, which I think is really what the military was. I think that's what the military was. I think that's their job. But he did. And they're there, man. And they were there. Donald Trump took office on Monday. These troops arrived on Wednesday.
This morning, the first 1,500 U.S. troops are arriving at the southern border as President Donald Trump launches his long-promised crackdown on immigration. The active duty Army soldiers and Marines deployed to address what Trump declared is a national emergency. The Pentagon says the troops include military police units, combat engineers, and intelligence specialists who will aid with detection and monitoring. The military will also help construct new barriers along the border and provide air power for deportations. A senior defense official saying, this is just the start. We are anticipating many further missions.
Oh, yeah, look at that. We're just starting. That's the first 1,500. They're like, you're sending 1,500 troops to the border? No. That's just the first 1,500. We're sending way more troops. There'll be way more helicopters and all sorts. There's going to be way more. You think 1,500's a lot? No. That's level one. It's the first sortie, if you will. Just you wait. In Boston, ICE agents are going in and they are cleaning out. They're literally going into homes and they know who their targets are and they're ripping these people out of their homes. They're putting them in the back of big black SUVs and they're driving them back across the border.
This afternoon, NBC 10 saw multiple unmarked SUVs here. 5 people, some wearing vests that said police federal agents on the back, went inside one of the apartment buildings. 2 agents waited outside, 1 person taken into custody that we saw. Whether this is connected to President Trump's effort to root out illegal immigrants, something he has promised to do, is unknown. We also saw federal agents at a building on Lexington Street, also here in East Boston. A witness there told us she saw 1 person arrested. There's roughly 11 million undocumented people around the country. President Trump has said the priority is finding and deporting those with criminal backgrounds.
Okay. I don't know who this reporter is, but he's like, a bunch of black SUVs showed up at the home of an illegal immigrant. A bunch of men in vests that said federal officers jumped out. They went in and they arrested this guy who appears to be foreign. We don't know if this has anything to do with Donald Trump pledging to remove all of these illegal immigrant criminals from our country. We don't know if that's what's happening or not. Really? You don't? You don't? Are you sure? A Haitian immigrant was arrested. He was furious, but I want you to pay special attention to what he said about he hates Donald Trump. Guess who this guy loves?
I'm not going back to Haiti.
One of those threats is this illegal alien from Haiti. ICE says he's a gang member with 17 criminal convictions in recent years.
Trump, you feel me? Yo, Biden forever, bro. Thank Obama for everything that he did for me, bro.
By the way, what he said was Obama, thank Obama for everything he did for me. F Trump, Biden forever.
ICE Boston quickly takes down its next targets, including this illegal alien from Brazil who has an Interpol red notice for armed robbery. This Salvadoran illegal alien charged locally with rape and released by a sanctuary jurisdiction.
Señor, ¿cómo se llama?
And this Dominican illegal alien charged with assault with a deadly weapon and heroin trafficking. Officers also arrested this Guatemalan MS-13 gang member facing gun charges. ICE says he was released from local custody just the day before. Their detainer request was ignored because of sanctuary policies.
Oh, listen to that. Their detainer request was ignored because of sanctuary policy. So they wanted to arrest the guy. They wanted to detain him. And then in this sanctuary city of Boston in Massachusetts, a sanctuary state, they weren't able to do it. Evidently, they got a workaround.
And in a sign of shifting priorities with the new Trump administration, this man, who was in the same apartment as the target, was also arrested after ICE determined he's also in the U.S. illegally. This is what ICE calls collateral.
So you guys got your main target just now, but you got somebody else. What just happened?
So our main target was released by a sanctuary jurisdiction, not honoring a detainer. That person was released back into the community, and when we went to go find him, he's with somebody else who was previously removed from the United States. So he's going to go today, too.
And that is exactly what Border Czar Tom Homan has warned would happen.
Okay, so that's basic. And so let me make sure I hit the right button this time. So, and that's what's happened. And that's the thing. That's the goal. That's the whole point. That it's not just one. Is that in the old days, you would go in and you would say, okay, we have a warrant to arrest this guy who we know is a gang member, who we know is violent, who we know is a murderer, who we know is dangerous to the lives of Americans. We're going to deport him. Oh, wait, this guy who's already been deported because he committed crimes against humanity in the United States, he's back? Oh, well, we can't touch him now because we're going to have to go back and get the official paperwork and the permits and the warrants and whatever else. No. They're like, oh, you're here too? Great. We have room in the car. We're going to take both of you. That's what Tom Homan's doing. That's what ICE is doing. That's what Donald Trump is doing. That's how you make America great again and safe again. And already to date, over 309 dangerous criminal illegals have been deported. And as you can see, these continue. More and more and more. These are continuing. More and more and more of these illegals are going to be rounded up by ICE, not just in Boston, but in Chicago and in New York and in Miami and in Dallas and in Portland and they're mostly in the sanctuary cities. California, they're going to go right into California. LA, well, when the fires die down, they're going to go into San Francisco, wherever they're holding these illegal immigrants without any regard for public safety or the law. Tom Homan's going to start there. And I would imagine if you live in a sanctuary city, if you live in a sanctuary state, that's where you're going to see the most action and activity by these ICE agents. And like I said, I'm all for it. It's Donald Trump. It's more promises made, promises kept. And the interesting thing about this speech, because people say, man, Donald Trump's moving really quickly. There's a couple reasons for that. And I promise we'll get to your super chats and your Rumble rants here in just a minute. So if you want to leave a super chat and or a Rumble rant, do it now, because in just a minute I'll wrap up with a couple of those. But there's a couple reasons for this to happen, because Donald Trump just got to office, and he knows he's got a limited amount of time. He knows he only has 4 years, and he wants to make sure that he's getting everything he promised America he would do done in those 4 years. But the other thing is, he knows that the farther away it gets from his inauguration, the farther away it gets from his overwhelming victory, the farther away it gets from his, fight, Butler, Pennsylvania assassination attempt, he's losing every single day. A tiny little portion of the population. People get bored, they get tired, they forget about stuff. They'll forget about the epic, iconic McDonald's drive-through. They'll forget about the epic, iconic garbage truck. They'll forget about how stupid Tim Walz was, how horrible Kamala Harris was, how drunk she acted all the time. They'll forget about Joe Biden tripping all over himself. They'll forget about how weird all of these trans people that he hired in his cabinet were. The woman with the Navy and the other dude and the other, I get quote unquote dude, all those people. The bald guy that stole luggage, all those people, they'll slowly forget about that, and they'll start feeling like, maybe Donald Trump's being a little tough. Maybe AOC's right. Maybe he's being a little tough on these immigrants. After all, they're just trying to look for a better life. The farther and farther away you get from Election Day and Inauguration Day, the more people forget and the less sympathetic they are to Donald Trump. But if you say, I just got inaugurated and I'm deporting everybody, and everyone's like, yeehaw, and you do it the next day, you're golden. So that's the other reason why. He's doing this. All right, real quick, before we get to your Rumble rants. Oh, I did want to admit, I had a great Tim Burchett video. Do you guys want to see Tim Burchett on CNN? All right, Tim Burchett was on. I should have played this earlier when I was talking about CNN and their flailing ratings. Tim Burchett from Tennessee was he was on. He wanders around. I told you he always does those great little videos where he's eating a PB&J and he's talking to people about what they did and did not do in Congress that day. Tim Burchett was on CNN and he called them out to their face. Listen to what he said. This is great.
is covered on CNN. What you're saying, this is not Fox, Congressman. You can't just spin a tail and pull the wool over people's eyes.
Yeah.
This is CNN. This is the news. We are asking you to come on and tell the truth.
And that's why more people are watching the Cartoon Network SpongeBob reruns right now, Jim.
Oh, yes, and it's Donald Trump's fault. It's Donald Trump's fault that the inauguration ratings were down. That's why this is CNN. This is the news, Congressman. Yeah, and that's why more people are watching SpongeBob SquarePants reruns than they are CNN right now. And he's not wrong. He is not wrong. There's more people watching the Hallmark Channel at Christmas time than watching CNN. There's more people watching SpongeBob. There's more people watching Comedy Central. There's more people watching us right now on YouTube probably than there are watching all of these folks across these cable networks. And they know it, and they're scared about it. And they know that as Donald Trump stays in office, it's just going to get worse for them. There's going to be fewer and fewer viewers on television and more viewers on, well, platforms just like this one. Like I told you, it's a lot. There's a lot of work getting done. In fact, I'll show you when I posted this yesterday on my X, the 47 Daily Podcast, which I do every single day. We do it on the podcast platforms. We also do it we post the video every single day on our YouTube channel. So if you're not yet subscribed, definitely do subscribe to that. Check out the 47daily.com. But look at this. This is my email yesterday. These are updates from the White House Office of Communications, because I'm on the press list every time they do something or release something. And I just wanted to share this with you. 4:48 p.m. 4:47 p.m., 3:27 p.m., 3:24 p.m., 1:34 p.m. My email is blowing up every day. Every hour of every day. Since Donald Trump came back to the White House, since Caroline Leavitt and Stephen Chung took over in the communications office, we're getting these boom, boom, boom every hour. Donald Trump did this. Donald Trump did that. Donald Trump is informed about the shooting in Nashville. Donald Trump is taking questions. Caroline Leavitt is taking questions. Donald Trump is going here. It is constant. There is more effort and work and buzz and communication and transparency coming out of this White House. I got more emails from the communications office at the White House yesterday than I have in the entire 4 years of the Biden administration. It is wild to see. It is almost as wild as it was to see Ron DeSantis and his family make this really awkward looking snow creature with the little tiny bit of snow that they had in Tallahassee. But look, the kids are having fun. The kids are smiling. Ron's happy. I said it looks like a little mini snow Jerry Nadler to me. But again, when we didn't have a lot to work with. A couple inches. It got hot really quickly. These kids are out of these are Florida kids. They don't know how to make a snowman. They're just they piled a bunch of snow up. They put a hat on it and they called it. They smiled for a picture. And they called it a day. All right, listen, before we get out of here, speaking of Ron DeSantis, don't forget that the Gulf of America is the new terminology that you must be using when you refer to, well, the Gulf of America. It used to be the Gulf of Mexico, not anymore. Not anymore, folks. Now it's the Gulf of America. It's sitting out there on the west coast of Florida, the east coast of Texas, and the southern coast of Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama. If you're one of these people that lives in that area or vacations in that area, show your support for the new Gulf of America. Show your support with a brand new t-shirt or a hoodie or one of these 40-ounce tumblers that everybody loves so much. Various different styles and colors. And Amy H. in Wapaka just purchased her official Gulf of America hoodie. We're very excited for Amy H. in Wapaka. Robert E. and Brandon. Oh, in the United Kingdom. Look at that. Brandon E. in the United Kingdom just purchased a Gulf of America t-shirt. So we're going global with these things. Every single day, we're selling more and more of these. And there are hoodies as well if you prefer a hoodie, because it is very frigidly cold, especially if you're at the Gulf of America right now. There's white, there's gray, there's black, there's blue. There's all kinds of different variations for you. We've also got other great trinkets and collectibles. There's the official bear, Gulfy, the official Gulf of America mascot. Wearing the official Gulf of America t-shirt right there. So you can get one of those for your kids. You can get a t-shirt for yourself. You can get a t-shirt for your kids and a Gulfy, the official Gulf of America bear. But this shows that we're back. You're going to wear this and people are going to walk around. They're going to be like, that person's cool. That person's cool. You know what? I always love when I buy something or when I make something or when I wear something and people come up, like the 47 hat I wore while I was in DC. So many people complimented me on that and said, oh, that's so cool. Where did you get it? And you know why? That makes me feel cool. Like, oh, I'm ahead of the curve. I know something these people don't. I'm in the know. They think that I'm cool because I have something that they want. Same thing with these shirts. Every time somebody writes me, they're like, oh my God, I got my Gulf of America shirt. I love it. It looks so great. Oh my God, I wore it and now my aunt wants one. Oh my God, I have to get another one for my husband because he's so jealous. Or the men write me and go, my wife stole mine, so I'm getting another one. By the way, if you've already ordered and received your Gulf of America t-shirt or sweatshirt or whatever it is at markkshop.com, then do me a solid and send me a picture. Because I love to put, I've got pictures of these. I'd love to put pictures of Kayetriots from all over the country, from all over the globe wearing these things. So just, hit me up on DM or email it or however you can get posted on Facebook, tag me, whatever you can do. I want to see you in your official Gulf of America gear, which is available right now at markkshop.com. And like I said, there is a link in the description of this video too, if you want to get it. And of course, don't forget to use coupon code TrumpWorld. Coupon code TrumpWorld. That will get you 15% off of any and all gear that you purchase in the Mark K shop, markkshop.com. All right, let me make sure I hit the right button again because we had some technical difficulties. And then we're going to we got another super chat, by the way. Julie Corwin. Wait a minute. I didn't hit the right button. Oh, why is this? Wait a minute. Hold on. I got it. We're good. There we go. Julie Corwin. Just a super chat. No questions. She didn't want to say anything. She just wanted to throw $20 at my face. Julie, I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for your support of Mark K Saves the Republic. Again, we are an independent broadcasting company now. We are not tethered or tied to any corporate media that demands we say things, or more importantly, demands we don't say things that I feel you need to know and deserve to know and should know. So, Julie, that is very generous of you, and we do appreciate all your support. We appreciate the support of every super chatter that we get, and also our Rumble ranters, and we have some of them as well. Harley Quinzel, you rock, Mark. You make my whole day when we get to watch you. Harley Quinzel, I appreciate it. I don't know why my camera's not focusing, but it's a different... Oh, there we go. You rock, Mark. You make my whole day when we get to watch you. Harley Quinzel, I wish you could watch me every day because I'm here every single day, but if not, I definitely appreciate it. Oh, look at this. Rob Brickett just wrote Gulf of America, and he dropped a $25 Rumble rant. Rob, for $25, you could have gone and gotten a t-shirt. But I appreciate that anyway. Oh, we're getting more and more. $5 towards a carry-on bag. Thank you. Thank you for that. La Signora del Telefono. The woman of the telephone. You guys have some great, by the way, you guys have some great names too. You guys come up with some great names for yourself. So I appreciate that. Anyway, listen, we are going to be here every single day until they tell us to stop, which hopefully will be never. If you have not yet subscribed, do that. Do that right now. Subscribe, set your notifications, make sure that you like this video. Make sure you share it with others. If you're like, man, this is great stuff. My sister needs to know about this. Tell her. I know you got her number. Just copy the link, send it out to her. A lot of folks say, Mark, you said something the other day and I tried to explain it to my friend, but I couldn't explain it as well as you do. Great. Just send them the link because I've already explained it once. You don't need to waste time explaining it again. Just share my YouTube channel, share my Rumble channel, share this content with whomever because we want to keep building. As I don't just sit here in a Kayetriot HQ at the luxurious Mar-a-Lago. I don't just sit here for my own health. I do it because I want to make sure that the message of conservatism and constitutionalism and American greatness, I want to make sure that everything that we're doing every single day, we want to continue to spread that message and grow our numbers and grow our ranks. We don't just want the Kayetriots we have. We want the Kayetriots that we can get. Because this is an idea. America is an idea worth saving. America is an idea that is good. America is one of the most successful concepts that has ever been created. It has created more freedom and more happiness and more wealth for more individuals than any other form of government, than any other idea in the history of our planet. And the only way it will continue is if we continue. So I will be here every single day. I hope you are as well. Subscribe, like, share, listen, take in the information, absorb it, consume it, think about it, let it permeate your every atom of your body so that you will be informed, you will be inspired, you will be enlightened, and you will be dedicated, just like I am, to the proposition to fight fight, and to save the Republic. And you'll look good doing it in your Gulf of America official t-shirt, hoodie, or while you're sipping on your official 40-ounce travel tumbler. By the way, people love these tumblers. 40 ounces, when I think of 40 ounces, I think of something totally different, but people love these. People drink so much water. We must be the best hydrated nation in the world. Fun fact also, I forgot to point this out, but on the other side of these tumblers is the Mark Kaye Saves the Republic logo. So you get 2 for 1. You get the Gulf of America logo on one side, and you get Mark Kaye Saves the Republic on the other side. It looks like this right here. That's on the other side of the tumbler too, if you're interested. Anyway, thank you so much, guys. I appreciate it. I love you guys. I will see you tomorrow.